The Curry's campaign from 2010 is slightly different than the Hoscovina, whatever you call it, because there is quite a good insight. But the insight came from behavioural economics, of all places, which is another point I want to make. You never know where the answer is going to come from. Therefore, you need to look at the widest variety, and you need to study the widest variety of areas in this whole process. The Curry's, again, 2010, economy going down, people not shopping. They had another problem, which is cross-border shopping. That was their biggest issue. And at the time, the Irish government increased the rate of VAT, and the British government reduced the rate of VAT. Quite extraordinary. So people flocked over the border. Curry's came up with a brilliant solution. They were going to drop their prices by 6.5%. But they didn't say that. And this is where the behavioural economics, and I don't know if you're familiar with that, it's framing an argument to its maximum effect. So they didn't say we're reducing our prices by 6.5%. They said we are going to have the same VAT rate as Britain, which was a reduction from 21 to. So brilliant idea, backed up by a sensational creative idea to paint the Union Jack, which was red, white and blue, into green, white and orange. I mean, what a brilliant idea. So the Union Jack became the Paddy Jack, and they plastered that all over buses and posters. So you have a piece of, an idea coming from behavioural economics of reframing. And sometimes that's very important, to look at any problem you've got from the idea of reframing. I don't know if you've seen that, I'm sure everybody here has seen it. If you haven't, you should see it. The Troy Library work in America. Has anybody seen that? I don't believe it. You really need to look. This is a brilliant campaign 2 years ago. Small town in Michigan, the library was closing the budget or whatever, and the people said, no, you have to keep the library, and the Tea Party lunatics said, no, that means raising taxes. So the people who wanted to save the library had to have a campaign to raise taxes. Can you imagine in small town America a campaign to raise taxes? So they reframed the argument. There was no way they were going to win by saying, vote for more taxes. So what they said was, they put notices all around the town saying, library closing April the 14th. Celebration book burning party April the 15th. And immediately they got a reaction because they reframed the argument. No matter how much you don't want to pay more taxes, you're not going to burn books. So the vote went in favour of more taxes. Now that's what I mean by reframing an argument. That's what Curry's did. Dyson, again, another example of they just went on television. Their sales were going down. They spent about 70 or 80 grand and they got a huge return, but they'd never advertised before. Just the fact of going on television wasn't the greatest campaign. Now, you can say Mr. Dyson, I think he was the star of the campaign, but just by doing that, they got a big return on investment because they hadn't been used to advertising, they hadn't advertised in Ireland. On a more creative note, Donegal Catch is one that you should look at. That case history covers 2003 to 2008, so it won a long-term effectiveness award. And the background is quite interesting. The Bird's Eye, multinational competitor, spending at a factor of about 5 to 1 compared to Donegal Catch. Donegal Catch were selling at a premium of 20% over own brands, which were getting much more powerful in Ireland at the time. So it was a bit like Bulmers in a way. They created a world, which is what great marketing communication does. It creates a world of its own that becomes so identified with a brand that people instinctively understand the rules of that world. This world, the Bulmers world was in an orchard. This world was on sea. So they created 3 characters like a soap. Connor, Donal, and wee Owen. So they had a kind of a captain, authoritarian figure, the grumpy second in command who thought he should be captain, and wee Owen, who's the jokey kind of junior guy. So they created a world. But they also did something else, and again I get back to copy. 3 words. So instead of saying buy Irish, which people are going to say, why the hell should I? They said, and they were talking about the world out at sea, it's a different world entirely. Now that is so Irish an expression. An English person would say it's a different world out there, but an Irish person said it's a different world entirely. And the fact of saying that meant this is indelibly Irish. This is Irish guys out at sea risking their lives to bring fresh fish home for us. hugely successful campaign. They had double-digit sales increases for 4 years in a row with that campaign. And being outspent all the time by Bird's Eye. So they created a world of creativity through a creative exercise.